Hello, I'm Caterina Ferrara, travel author, blogger, and passionate enthusiast of all things Italian. And this is Immersion Travel Italy. In today's episode, we're going to talk about 7 essential tips you need when you're going to the Rome Jubilee this year. The first thing is the Rome Jubilee is a festival, an event that happens every 25 years in the Catholic Church, and it's a special time for compassion and forgiveness in the church. The church holds many events during the year, all covered in my Rome 2025 Jubilee Year Travel Guide. But what we want to talk about today are tips to help you plan for your Jubilee travel. The first of which is the best times to visit Rome. If you can avoid it, you don't want to be in Rome from June to August. These will be incredibly busy months in Rome, as they always are, but especially busy with the Jubilee. Interestingly enough, also, Rome will get very busy around Easter, but in the weeks after Easter and the weeks after the New Year, things can get somewhat quiet. Also, if you plan in the shoulder season, October, November, you may have some days before the Christmas season where things aren't as hectic and prices aren't as high. Booking ahead is key. I was working for a client just this week, booking for March, which is in 2 months. And a lot was sold out. So you really want to book in advance hotels, and then even in the weeks before, restaurants. This will save you some of the headache in town of waiting for an hour to eat in a busy place, and also allow you to have hotels that maybe aren't as pricey. So I highly recommend for hotels to be in the center of town if you can, or Airbnbs, either one. Being in the center allows you to go home during the day if you get tired, or if you're in an Airbnb, you can go home for lunch or dinner. But being able to go back to your room is really an option if you want to de-stress during the day, where if you're outside of town, it's a little bit more planning to get back, whether you're using the metro, trains, or buses. So booking is key, and you can use platforms like Airbnb, booking.com to look. You can also just look on a Google map and find which hotels are near Piazza Navona, Campo dei Fiori, for example. If you want to stay near the Vatican, that's fine as well if you're going to focus most of your time there. I do recommend a minimum of 3 days in Rome. And really you need 5 or 8. There's so much to see there. And especially with the Jubilee, you may have some things that you're trying to see that you need to organize that are sold out, that you need to try for other days. So definitely you need a few days there. I'm working on a planning schedule right now for a 5-day trip to Rome with arrival and departure on days 1 and 5. And it's a lot to fit in a couple of days. And you'll just be kicking yourself for not staying an extra day if you have it in your budget. Number 4. Okay, definitely for what to pack, I'm going to recommend comfortable shoes first of all. The first thing you're going to want to do if you have uncomfortable shoes is go back to your room and change. Rome is a lot of walking. In the center of town, you're going to have to walk because there's not public transport. But even with public transport, where I do recommend if you're going to have to walk, 30 minutes, maybe just take a taxi. You'll be walking at least, 9 or 10 miles just to get around to the sites you want to see in a day. So wear comfortable shoes. And you also want to pack to visit the churches. And you're going to want to cover your shoulders and your knees. So even if you want to be in a tank top, something like that, you're going to need to bring something with you, a shawl or a light jacket, to put that on when you're entering the churches out of respect for the church. Okay, number 5, apps that you want to download before you go. The first one is Free Now, and Free Now is a way to order a taxi in Rome. You can use Uber, but Uber only offers Uber Black, which is the most expensive Uber. I do use Uber Black for when I have to schedule something like a return to the airport at a specific day and a specific time. I'll use Uber, but for most of the days, I'm going to use Free Now to grab a white taxi just to get me from here to there. If we're running late for something, or if something is really far, then that's the way to do it. But you want to download that app and you want to set up that app so that when you're ready to use it, you're not sitting there trying to enter your credit card information and set up an account. So definitely want to have that app downloaded. Also, City Mapper is a map tool that will help you get around the city. Vatican.va, that's your app for the things that are related to the Jubilee, like the Vatican events, the Giro delle Sette Chiese, the Walk of the Seven Churches. All of those things will be located in the Vatican app. And another handy tool, of course, is Google Translate. If you haven't brushed up on your Italian or you're not studying Italian, Google Translate can definitely help you out when you get into a sticky situation. Although many people in Rome speak English, so if you're an English speaker, you should be fine. The next thing I want to talk to you about is must-try Roman foods. So you're going to need to try cacio e pepe, which is, I call it Italian mac and cheese, but it's much more sophisticated than that. Carbonara is another one. Amatriciana is another. And so when you enter a Roman restaurant, you're going to want to order these traditional Roman foods. Another one is carciofi alla Judea. That's Jewish artichokes. Romans are very in love with their artichokes. So if you're there during the spring, April, May, you're going to see artichokes everywhere, and you'll have all kinds of opportunity to try those. One of my favorite fast food items in Rome is a supplì. And if you know what an arancini is, in Sicily, the supplì are similar. They're generally smaller. And it is a little fried treat that's very filling. In the center, it's got mozzarella, a meat sauce, usually a ragu, surrounded by rice, and then breadcrumbs and deep fried. And so the supplì are a great opportunity to fill up on something quick. If you're just on your way from here to there, you don't have a lot of time. They're somewhat of a street food, and you'll generally find them in places that offer pizza al taglio, which is pizza by the slice, which is another thing that Romans are known for, is grabbing that pizza. Okay, one last thing I want to mention, and that is do book in advance for things like the Vatican museums, the Colosseum, these big ticket items, Borghese Gallery, and visiting the Scavi at St. Peter. All of these things need booking in advance. You just have to plan a little bit and get those tickets, and you have to organize around them. A lot of times people are severely disappointed because they get to Rome and they haven't booked the Colosseum ahead, and they literally cannot get in. It's sold out. So it really is important to book those things ahead and have that all organized. And that way you don't get disappointed when you get there. Same with the Borghese Gallery. That is booked on 2-hour slots. You're allowed to go in and you have to be out in 2 hours. They tag you with a color so they know it's time for you to leave. And if you don't book that ahead, you could be disappointed. The Vatican museums are always crowded. And the reason I want you to book them ahead is you will wait in line for an hour to buy a ticket there. So if you book ahead, then you've saved some time and skipped the line. Also, when you go through the Vatican museums, that is your path into the Sistine Chapel. If you're going to book tours, that is one you might consider. The Vatican offers unique tours to the Vatican museums. One of them is Breakfast at the Vatican, where you eat in the Pinecone courtyard inside the Vatican museums. And then as soon as the museums open, you're the first one in. So there are options like that. There are also skip the line and unique experiences. In the past, and I think they're offering it again, they offer a Vatican after hours. So when the museum closes, you can go in and you're in there with tour groups. You're not in there alone, and then you end up at the very end in the Sistine Chapel. So that is important to know. Now, the holy doors are an important piece of the Jubilee. There are holy doors at the 4 papal basilicas, which are St. Peter's, San Pietro, San Giovanni in Laterano, which is St. John Lateran, Santa Maria Maggiore, which is St. Mary Major, and St. Paul outside the walls, San Paolo fuori le mura. You don't need tickets to enter the holy doors, but you do want to organize. If you only want to enter through one of the holy doors, I would advise to go anywhere but St. Peter's. I have a friend in Rome who showed up. She was early for an appointment near Santa Maria Maggiore the other day, and she said she was the only one. There was no line to get in through the holy doors. So if your goal is to get through the holy doors and get the sins forgiven, then target the holy doors that are not the holy doors of St. Peter's. Of course, you should, consider entering through all of the holy doors. But I've seen the lines at St. Peter's. They actually built out the piazza in front of St. Peter's in the street just to make the line, it's full mile long. So you'll meet friends in line and things like that. But if you just want to go through one of the holy doors, St. John Lateran, St. Paul outside the walls, or St. Mary Major are great options. So for much more on the Rome Jubilee, I do recommend my book. It's number 4 in Rome Travel Guides, which I'm very proud of. I'm competing against some heavy hitters there. And in the book, it offers a lot more information about the Jubilee and about how to plan your travel for the Jubilee in Rome. I hope that you will follow me on Instagram and share with me any of your Rome experiences. I'd love to see your videos and your photos from your trip to the Jubilee. So thanks for joining me today for this Jubilee update and 7 tips to help you have the best Jubilee year. And I will see you in the next video. Ciao.